was at the Operation MySpace show, and we were at Camp Deering, and I spent a couple days hanging with some of the Marines there who were assigned to us as security detail, and a bunch of other troops are hanging with us as well. And we're in the chow hall eating with them, and we had gone through all kinds of training exercises already, and met so many of them. And on the TV in the chow hall, the news comes on about a new IED explosion of a Humvee in Baghdad that very day, where 5 soldiers lost their lives. And I saw the look on all of the soldiers' faces change to sadness and fear and doubt. And it was never more clear to me then than any other time, the duality and the irony of war, that even a soldier does not want war, that even the most gung-ho individual in the world doesn't want to see their friend who's standing next to them die. So again, on that level, I still am and always will be in support of our military for the honor that they symbolize, for the sacrifice that they make, for doing what they're ordered to do. Question, even if they're not at peace with it 100%. I think that that's a tremendously admirable trait, and that's a huge part of the reason why we feel as strongly about it as we do. The tremendous honor and there is in doing what they do.
Mm-hmm. On the other hand, what's your stance on the government's position? Do you think the troops should all come home right away? Would you like to see us make?
I don't think it should be right away. I think that would be irresponsible. I think that you have to also respect the sacrifices that have already been made, and at the very least, leave in a way that doesn't leave things a complete mess. Make sure that the Iraqi troops, that the local force is able to handle things, is properly trained. Leave a small garrison there to continue with training purposes and other things, and then that's it.
Okay, we'll leave the other political questions to McNeil Lair. Let's talk more, about Indestructible.
Okay.
The album itself, was this something that was a real torturous creation, or is it something that really kind of stemmed from more of a natural place?
I got to say that this was probably one of the least torturous of the sessions we've had since the sickness, I would say, easily, and everything came together very naturally, very organically. We came off the road in December 2006, and by February of 2007, Danny and Mike were already getting together to write. And by the end of March, I already had some material to start working with. And within a week of receiving the material, I was already calling Danny and giving him melody ideas and rhythm ideas that I had. So I was more than pleased with the first batch and the successive batches, and it's been a wonderful process this time around.
Mm-hmm. And what about songwriting wise? Did the songs come easily to you as a lyricist? Did these things come together?
They all came, some came more easily than others as far as, just your standard music goes. But as far as the lyrics go, that's always difficult for me. That's always like pulling teeth.
Mm-hmm. Could you talk about any of the other songs in particular? Because the only ones that people have heard at this point, of course, are the two that we've talked about, Inside the Fire and Perfect Insanity. But what are some of the other tracks?
Let's see, everything from Deceiver to Haunted to The Night to Inside the Fire, you obviously already mentioned. Facade, Curse, The Curse. These are all, again, linked by the idea of them all being songs that inspire people's strength and courage, but they also, all come from, they're tied to those personal beliefs or experiences that the lyrical content of all our songs are always tied to. It always has to be close to something internally for me. It has to be something that I'm passionate about or something that's close to the heart. But a song like Haunted, which speaks about my experiences in Los Angeles and what my take is of the whole of the city there and what it made me feel like, kind of being surrounded by a world of social vampires who aren't happy unless you're miserable. Or a song like Facade, which is talking about a girl who's in an abusive relationship and who, for whatever reason, doesn't seem to free herself from it or walk out on the guy, but keeps the game face on all the time, pretending like everything is actually okay when it's not. Deceiver, like I said, pretty much self-explanatory, is a song about a deceptive bitch who went to, who spared no expenses in robbing me of any trust. The Night, which speaks about the night as this entity that's a freeing sort of a thing, that is a liberating force, as opposed to approaching it from the typical perspective of darkness, which it's normally spoken about, almost celebrating the coming of it. And it goes on and on. I mean, I don't know how many more you find.
Musically, did you want, from the outset to do something kind of heavier and bleaker with that, still those strong melodies, or is that just something that evolved along with the whole theme and along with the environment it was created in?
I think that there was definitely an intention to go back to darkness. Let's put it that way. To go back to more of the tribal aspects, to bring some more of the more syncopated rhythmic delivery, to have Danny expand soloing wise in terms of his own playing, to have Mikey get more polyrhythmic and go into places and directions he hasn't gone to, and now having the precision and the crispness of John's playing being able to accentuate that. It's been great. I think on every level of this record we wanted to not forsake what we have learned, but at the same point there was a very conscious effort to go back to where we came from.
Mm-hmm. Did you think 10,000 Fists was perhaps not edgy enough?
I definitely think that the record was plenty edgy. I just think that this one has an even darker tinge to it, and maybe more primal, if you will. Just vibe-wise a little bit closer to the first record. Mm-hmm. And Fists had a little bit more, not quite as much of the exaggerated syncopation, the extra staccato nature of the vocal that was much more prevalent on the first record, and it certainly didn't have as much of the soloing and level of proficiency that Danny has achieved at his playing as on this record. I mean, I'm blown away each time I go over these parts, and every time I listen to one of his solos, I can't help but have one of those shit-eating grins, from ear to ear, and smiling like a proud papa. I know it sounds kind of weird, but it's wonderful to hear him come as far as he's come, and Mikey as well has turned into this monster. With the mix being as crisp and succinct on this record as it is, I've been able to make out more of the detail in his playing than I ever have before, and I'm more and more impressed by it.
Who produced this album again?
We did.
Was that a particular challenge or particular, what?
You figure after doing 3 records with somebody that he's taught you enough after 3 that you should be able to do it yourself. For the most part, like I said, Johnny K is a great teacher.